What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and we are back. I'm going to go through the NBA, the WNBA. I'm going to give you my insights and my thoughts on all the different player props in that. That sounds interesting. Let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into the picks, I'm going to answer some questions. The first one, where the fuck have you been? It's been a minute since I've uploaded a video. Over the past couple of weeks, a few things have happened. One, my son has gotten sick a few times. Tried to get him into daycare a few times to try to free me up to create more content. And all that turned into was him being sick for a very long period of time, which has made life difficult for me to get content done. The other thing I learned was when I quit my job in February or whenever it was, and I decided to be the full-time carer of my son, I thought that would give me more time to create content, and it's actually the complete opposite. I'm working around the clock. It's 24/7 taking care of this guy, up all night, tough to get some sleep in, so it has made that a little bit difficult. So trying to organize a few things to keep my content flowing and to keep it all consistent, but doing my best, and hopefully we can get back to a BAU rhythm, provided that little guy stays healthy. The second thing is my picks, my performance. I want to call this out. I have been absolutely dog shit. The performance of my bets over the past couple of weeks has been awful. And that's with no change to my process, still thoroughly researching things. I just can't seem to win. And look, I do win sometimes, but not at the rate that I was. And I understand why. NBA playoffs, the longer the playoffs go, the more difficult it is for me to bet. Not saying it is for everyone, more difficult for me. It's also the start of a WNBA season with a lot of big off-season movements, and that's been also quite chaotic. So I've been remaining disciplined as of late, not staking too much, not betting too much. It's not bringing the same returns that it once did, but I'm confident at some point it will. We do our absolute best. So in today's video, I'll go through the NBA game. I'll give you my thoughts on who I'm considering betting on because I haven't put any bets down yet. And then we'll do the same thing for WNBA. Getting this one out quite early, so hopefully it gives everybody enough time to find the right lines. If you find some value in today's video, let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Looking to drop bangers like this on the daily. The other thing I forgot to mention, my lord, before we jump into the insights is, out of full transparency, I'm running all my straight picks now through player profit. And the reason why is I've done the math and it's an absolute no-brainer for me. I bought a $100,000 bankroll. It costs $1,000, yes, but that's 10 units. And I ran the math and I thought, if I lose this challenge, I would have to lose 15 units, right? If I lose 15 units in the real world outside of player profit, that's $1,500. So I've already got a $500 boost right there. I'm only risking 10 units to buy this challenge. But here's where it really clicked for me. If I happen to win 10 units, once I get this account funded, if I happen to win 10 units on player profit with this $100,000 bankroll, it's a $10,000 win. I'll keep 70% of that profit. So it's a $7,000 profit if I win 10 units. Whereas in the real world with my own sports books, if I was to win 10 units, I would win $1,000. So just doing the math there is such a bigger upside. I'll still be running all my value plays through sports books because I don't have the same edge on something like player profit. So that won't change. But for a lot of my straight picks, money lines, spreads, whatever it may be, running it all through player profit. So I encourage you to do the math as well. What's 10 units to you? What kind of bankroll gives you upside without overexposing yourself? Player profit is going to give you a much bigger profit margin compared to just using your own bankroll. If you're disciplined and you're consistent, it's an absolute game changer. So I encourage you guys to check it out. I'll leave a link to that in the video description below, and you can use the code DAFT and you'll get a discount on all the challenges you decide to enter. So jumping straight into props madness, the best tool you're going to find if you like betting on player props, NBA, WNBA, this thing has got you covered. I encourage you to check this out. You get a 7-day free trial. Plus, you get a juicy discount if you use the code DAFT when you sign up. So we've got game one of the NBA Finals, Indiana Pacers versus the OKC Thunder. Starting with the boys here first. Now, as much as I have had some frustrations betting on the NBA as of late, still research every single game. And if I don't find any value, I don't bet it. But I have been able to find one or two plays in each of the games as of late. And honestly, since I've relaxed a little bit, it hasn't been so bad. But let's talk about it. We've got a big spread in this one. 9-point spread to open up this series. Sorry, 9.5-point spread. There's a few automatic looks that I went through. The first one is SGA, and really it's just about running his PRA. You could go with his points, his rebounds, or his assists, and the thought process there is he's got an excellent matchup to just produce in general. Looking at his head-to-head numbers this season, he's played the Pacers twice, 60 PRA in the first game, 48 PRA in the second game. He's got a line of 46.5, 45.5 on a couple of books, but for the most part, 46.5 points, rebounds, and assists for SGA, and you're getting this for plus money as well. His first game against the Pacers, 45 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. He covered all of his lines. In the second game, 33 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, covered all of his lines once again. And I think the call out here is in the second game, he only played 31 minutes in a 21-point blowout. So even in the blowout, he still managed to produce. And if there's I think there's a chance. It's either, my thought process is Indiana, they can either ambush OKC, potentially steal this game. If not, they'll lose both games in OKC, potentially steal a game in Indiana, probably game 3. But even if there is a blowout here for OKC, then SGA probably still sees 31 to 35 minutes. And based on how he's performed against Indiana, he can definitely make it happen. The other thing I think about is the guards that have really played against the Pacers in the playoffs. We're talking about 2 guys here, Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. These are the high usage guys who have played the Pacers throughout the playoffs. And Donovan Mitchell was obviously, he was killing them, scoring a ton of points, doing a bit of everything. Jalen Brunson, they managed to slow him down towards the end of the series, but at the start of the series, Jalen Brunson was killing it. Points, assists, even rebounding. And I think SGA is of similar ilk, really. If anything, he's better than Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. He's more efficient. He's probably a bigger ball hog than those 2 guys, and he's the best foul merchant in the game. So matchup-wise, it is a pretty good matchup for him as well. If we're just looking at points, firstly, let's take a look at this. So pick-and-roll ball handlers, where SGA is scoring most of his points these days. The Pacers, one of the worst teams in the league. Free throws, the Pacers have given the most free throws so far in this playoffs. So those 2 alone, the fact that they get murdered in the pick-and-roll, they get a lot of points of the free throws, it's pretty much perfect for SGA. They're going to have Aaron Naismith defending him, I assume, another player who they're just going to let him play one-on-one. They're probably not going to send too much help. That's going to leave them overexposed. They're going to force SGA to take a lot of shots, a lot of volume, play Naismith one-on-one, the same way they did with Brunson, right? I think if anything, SGA has probably a better chance than Jalen Brunson did, given his size advantage, skill, all that type of stuff. So SGA average PRA, that's one thing that I'm leaning. If you don't have access to the PRA, then 33.5 points, yeah, it's a little bit tight. It's quite a high line, but assists, rebounds, potentially rebounds and assists, you could look at those, but I'm feeling the PRA. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Game 1 of the series, I think SGA could really explode in this one. The other guys from OKC, I was thinking about Isaiah Hartenstein, something around this. Obviously, Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't very effective in that Minnesota series. Both teams did end up playing small. Whereas against Indiana, I don't think there's a chance Indiana plays small here. I think the advantage they're going to have is by having Miles Turner out there playing small with Obi Toppin. And you got Obi Toppin versus Chet, perhaps. Like, you don't want that. You got to have Miles Turner out there. And I think that means Isaiah Hartenstein probably sees a bit more minutes. Against Minnesota, there were a lot of games where Rudy only played 25 minutes. So, like, let's just play Naz Reid instead. So what was the point of having Isaiah there? Against Indiana, I think they have to play Miles Turner, which means Isaiah Hartenstein probably gets a little bit more time than he has been. 7.5-point line, covered it decently throughout this playoffs, 11 out of 16 games. Head-to-head games so far this season. 11 points in one game, 4 points in another where he only saw 14 minutes. So getting some clarity around the minutes is probably one that I'd wait on. Rebounds and assists could be a look. He could play 25 to 30 minutes, Isaiah Hartenstein, in this game. Looking at his rebounding throughout the playoffs, 7.9 boards. His real struggle was against Minnesota. Outside of that, he's been rebounding quite well. But like I said, Minnesota got desperate. A lot of Naz Reid time. Rudy, not so much. Isaiah Hartenstein didn't see as many minutes. So if you're on the thought process that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to see more minutes because this is a better matchup for him, then yeah, points or rebounds or both. Points and rebounds could be a look. I'm not worried that he's gone under in his last 4 games. It's a completely new series here. Both teams trying to figure each other out. And I don't think in game 1 we see teams go small anyway. I think that's an adjustment for later in the series. But that's just one place that my mind goes. These other guys, the role players on OKC, it's too early to say who does what. That's probably something I'd like to anticipate and react to from game to game to see who does well and who doesn't, to see where the bounce back's going to be and where the adjustment will be. And then looking at the Pacers, the other one is probably obvious, and everyone's had the same thought process here, and it's a Tyrese Halliburton fade, looking at taking his unders. So these are his 2 games against OKC this season. Let me look at his PRA real quick. So In the first game, he played 35 minutes. He had 4 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists. In the second game, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. So I'd be looking at the PRA here for Tyrese Halliburton because OKC, they're either going to allow him to do one thing and one thing only, whether it's scoring or whether it's diming up. I don't think they're going to let him have success on both ends. So you can potentially just look at points and assists or his PRA. In order for him to cover this, he's going to have to be exceptional scoring the ball, but he's also going to have to get a ton of assists. I don't think there's a world where we see both of these things happen for Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's either going to have a 10 assist game, but with only 8 points or something like that, or he can score 20, but he's not going to be diming up because OKC is going to be locking everybody else up. So, yeah, my thought process is he probably has a low scoring game and potentially gets higher assist volumes, but either way, the PRA or the points and assists, I think they're under there for Tyrese Halliburton. That's where my mind goes. Didn't rebound very well against OKC, but he's had some pretty good rebounding games in the playoffs. So taking the under on the rebounds is a little bit scary because it has nothing to do with OKC's defense. OKC obviously not a great rebounding team either. But yeah, probably the points and assists is where I'd be looking there for Tyrese Halliburton, taking his under, because I just don't see him doing both. Unless he comes out there and scores 25 points, which then I lose. But if we look at the last 2 seasons, what do we have? These are his points and assists against OKC. 30. This was back in 2024. He had 18 points, 12 assists, where Indiana won that game by 10. Outside of that, the 3 games, he's gone under this line by a pretty easy margin. So, yeah, probably the points and assists is where my mind goes for Tyrese Halliburton. Then we have Pascal Siakam. Siakam, the Eastern Conference MVP. He played good every second game against the Knicks and still managed to win. Up against OKC. Hasn't got the best record. One good game, one poor game. But I think the rebounding edge is what I'm thinking about here for Pascal Siakam. You could look at points and rebounds, but I think OKC are going to do a great job of limiting Tyrese Halliburton, which forces Pascal Siakam to be that guy. I feel like it's going to be a Pascal Siakam or a Benedict Mathurin. Like, I think those guys are going to have to carry the offense to some extent, but Pascal Siakam on the rebounding side makes a ton of sense. Whether the Pacers go small, go big, Pascal Siakam is going to be out there. OKC, not the greatest rebounding matchup. He's going to be, defending a big to some extent, and he's rebounded very well against OKC in the 2 games this season. 10 rebounds in one game, 9 rebounds in the other. And this one is quite funny because in the playoffs, he hasn't been rebounding very well. And if anything, I think under 6.5 rebounds for Pascal Siakam was one of the most popular plays against the Knicks. Like in every single game, people were betting his under, and he went under every single time. But I think we see a different story here. It's a different matchup. The form throughout the playoffs is absolutely horrendous. Look at this. In the playoffs, he's only covered this line 4 out of 16 games, averaging 5.8 rebound. Line at 6.5, plus money line as well. I don't mind this for Pascal Siakam. Looking at his points, we could do the points, but again, I worry about OKC's defense. So I'm thinking it would have to be the rebounds for Pascal Siakam if I took it. But yeah, we'll see. And then the other one is Benedict Mathurin. Benedict Mathurin is a very capable scorer if he sees the time. And his minutes, they're not guaranteed. We saw some games against the Knicks. He played 9 minutes. Others, he played 13. Others, he played 25. So, yeah, that's my only concern here with Benedict Mathurin. He's played 1 game against OKC, had 18 points, but he played 39 minutes. He's definitely not playing 39. But if, let's say, OKC do happen to shut down the Pacers and it's somewhat of a blowout, the Pacers, they're very quick to play their bench. If the starters aren't doing it, they play their bench. They're not afraid to just throw them out there. They have a pretty deep rotation. Benedict Mathurin, similar types of players of Benedict Mathurin have had a lot of success against OKC as of late. Well, actually, that's not as of late. That was throughout the regular season. But yeah, I just feel like it could be a sneaky spot. 7.5 is quite low. If he all of a sudden sees a big uplift in his minutes, like it's happened for the Pacers many times before, then he could definitely get it done. And then there's obviously someone like an Obi Toppin as a spot-up shooter. He's going to see his time. It's about whether he makes his shots. He's had a good game against OKC before, but probably not as confident in a lot of these role players. So I think Pascal or Benedict Mathurin, that's where my mind goes. But yeah, we'll see. I'll probably be low volume on this game. I don't know what I'm going to bet on. I think there'll be some element of SGA, I'm pretty sure, and probably a fade on Tyrese Halliburton, probably the one I like the most. But yeah, we'll see. Let's jump into the WNBA. I think there's only 2 games, and we'll see what types of insights I can come up with right here. So it's my first time taking a look at a lot of these, so just bear with me as I quickly react. All right, we've got the Liberty versus the Mystics. No major ins or outs in terms of injuries. So we've got the key players here available, lines available here. So another interesting thing is these guys played a week ago, so it'd be interesting to see what the response looks like. So Brittany Sykes, her points line at 19.5, over this in 6 out of 7 games. I'm not down to bet on Brittany Sykes. She's going to take a lot of volume, but she'll get to the free throw line a lot. You could assume that Brittany Sykes is possibly better here. She was 5 from 18 in her last game against the Liberty. Still finished with 20 points. It was a 22-point loss. We've got a 13-point spread here. And Washington are playing at home as well. So if anything, I'll probably lean to the over here for Brittany Sykes. Outside of that, assists and rebounds for her don't get me too excited, especially based on the odds. So we'll pass on her. We've got Sonia Citron. She's been really good to bet on this season. She only scored 10 points against the Liberty last time, 4 from 13. So you could argue that there's a positive regression potential for her. In that game, she shot 31% from the field. Taking a look at how she's performed this season, she's got an average of 52% from the field. So she's usually a very efficient scorer. She's had 2 bad games. But what's good to know is whenever she's had a bad game, she's bounced back quite nicely. Up against the Liberty, yeah, you could say that there's some positive regression expected here for her. Now, the matchup's probably not the best. Liberty are one of the best teams in the league, right? But someone's got to score some points. So she's won. Rebound-wise, I bet on her last game to get rebounds. She had 4 rebounds against the Sky. Not the Sky, the hell? The Liberty. Her line's at 3.5, but it's heavily juiced to the over, so I don't have any interest in that. Points and rebounds, not many books have the line available. So, yeah, probably the points. I'd lean to the over for Brittany, lean to the over for Sonia Citron. I'm not saying to bet all of these, but this is just where my mind goes as I make a short list. We've got Kiki Irifin, one of my favorite players in the league. She's an absolute beast. She's pretty much Angel Reese with coordination. Great rebounder, can shoot a mid-range, can score down low. Kiki Irifin's a beast. Her point line's at 12.5. She had 12 points. She was only 4 for 14 in her last game against the Liberty, and she's someone who's very efficient as well. So that was a bad shooting night. On the season, she's shooting 55% from the field. So 14 shots against the Liberty, that ties her career high in shots attempted. So you could argue that with all 3 of these players, there is some upside if they see the same amount of volume. And the volume is one thing to call out because I can't guarantee that happens. In terms of the roster, they've got the same team as that played them last time, pretty much playing again. So there's no changes to their rotations you should expect. Kiki Irifin, she played 25 minutes in that last game. I think she plays 25 to 27, obviously depending on how well she shoots. But 4 for 14, it's nothing to smirk at. Her rebounds, which was an excellent bet to take when, Shakira Austin and Aaliyah Edwards are out, now at 8.5, it's not something that I'm absolutely loving. But points-wise, for all 3 of these girls, Sykes, Citron, Irifin, there could be a nice bounce-back spot. So out of these 3, I'd probably go through it a little bit deeper to find out which one does have the best matchup, perhaps. Kiki Irifin scores in a lot of ways too. So, so they're the 3 I'd be looking at. I'll probably pick one of them. But let's talk about the Liberty. What do we have? Washington, having a look at their defense. Washington are pretty good at protecting the paint. They're terrible at defending the pick and roll, though. So that could be an angle that we choose to take. But for the Liberty, you're looking at Sabrina or Natasha Cloud. And Sabrina, she had 28 points last time against the Mystics. Shot 56% from the field in a 22-point blowout. She's actually been shooting quite well as of late. These last 3 games, 6 from 15, 4 from 11, 4 from 6 from deep. Sabrina playing extremely well. Now, naturally, I would look to lean to her over around this because the matchup is good. Her recent form has been good. Don't worry about this 18 points she scored against Connecticut. That was in 19 minutes, a 48-point blowout. She killed them in 19 minutes. So Sabrina's playing really well. My concern here is that normally I'd bet the over, but these guys only played a week ago. You would have to assume that Washington makes some sort of adjustment here defensively, likely to limit Sabrina. So that's my only hesitation on that. Could it be the assist prop that we like to look? She had 5 assists last time against them, 5 assists in her most recent game. Washington apply more pressure. That's what I'm thinking. But it's almost like a playoff series in my mind. But Sabrina, excellent matchup, playing very well right now. Bree Stewart, let's take a look. So she was pretty slow in her last game. 3 for 10 against the Mystics, 10 points, 0 from 5 from deep. She was okay against Connecticut, but barely played much time. Up against Washington here. Somewhat difficult matchup because she scores a lot of her points in the paint, and Washington have been somewhat good at limiting them. 13-point spread, though. So if there's a blowout here, I probably think Brandon Stewart goes under. She did dime up like crazy. Check this out. 7 assists in her last game against Washington, 5 assists against Connecticut. And I think this kind of ties into Sabrina playing well, which is Brandon Stewart being the creator. You can get over 3.5 assists at plus money. So this might be something that I choose to look at here because it doesn't have to be Sabrina scoring. Brandon Stewart can pass to anybody. 3.5 assists could be nice, but I need to understand like what's different, if there is anything different. I know that Liberty's offense has been singing. Is that the only difference? We've got Jonquel Jones. Points-wise, I'm never too fond on betting on her. She's not overly aggressive trying to score, but rebound-wise, she's been a bit of a beast. So she had 18 rebounds in the last game against the Mystics in 30 minutes. Been rebounding quite well this season, I must say. In only 27 minutes, she's averaging 11.3 rebounds. Washington give up the most rebounds in the league to centers. So even if we assume that Washington closed the gap a little bit and probably shoot a little bit better, which means there's less rebound chances here for Jonquel Jones, the fact that they give up the most rebounds in the league to centers has got to be saying something. Check this out. Asia Wilson, Temi Fagbenle, Tina Charles, Brittany Griner all covered their rebound line against Washington this season. So, yeah, Jonquel Jones to get some boards could get my attention, but we're looking at a line of 10.5. The odds aren't the best, but at 10.5, could get there. Maybe a Jonquel Jones double-double. She's had more than 10 points in every game this season, 10 rebounds in 4 out of 5 games. So maybe a double-double for Jonquel Jones. We'll see. I'll take a look. Natasha Cloud, she's came into this season on fire. Last couple of games has really slowed down. And a lot of it has to do with volume, just not shooting the ball a lot. She had 2 bad games, and then she's kind of stopped shooting completely. It probably coincides with Sabrina taking off when it comes to scoring. Natasha Cloud, the assists seem to be there. The rebounds, they're dipping as well. Her points line is quite low, 8.5 though. This was at, 12.5, 13.5 earlier in the season. So this line has come down to a line with a more recent form. I'm not interested in taking it under there, but yeah, I'll probably pass on Natasha Cloud. Nothing like that really screams out to me. But I just reviewed this game and I noticed I didn't even consider any unders. And unders is what I want to look at first. Although overs excite me, unders is where my mind goes. So if we're thinking unders for the Mystics, I think Sykes, like I said, all 3 of these girls could have a good bounce back spot when it comes to scoring. Sykes probably has the most difficult matchup. But I also called out she has room for improvement if she takes another 18 shots, right? So I'm not overly excited to take the under there. I think Kiki Erifin, the under makes sense for her rebounds, the 8.5. But at the same time, they got smacked by the Liberty last time. And unless they get smacked again, the under and the rebound is going to be a little bit sweaty. Probably Brianna Stewart. Brianna Stewart under her points, 17.5. She hasn't really needed to really pop off. Sabrina, they could make an adjustment, but it's a tough one. It is a tough one. No, I'll research that a little bit further. There's a couple of looks there that I do like, though. They're overs, though. I did want to find more unders, I'm going to say. Then we've got the Valkyrie versus the Mercury. Now, this one, we've got the Valkyrie. Tiffany Hayes is a game time decision. And for the Mercury, Alyssa Thomas is still out. Natasha Mack, Clea Copper, they're all still out. But Sammy Whitcomb is a game time decision as well. So I think this would be a really good game to bet on because the Mercury are likely to get a lot of production out of Satu. We've got a 5.5-point spread. The Valkyrie, not a great defense. We've got the 4th worst defensive rating in the league this season. The Valkyrie, they don't allow many points in the paint, though, which is good. But they allow a ton of points from 3. So, I don't know, something about Satu I think makes a lot of sense. 21.5 points without Alyssa Thomas. How many games has it been? 3 games without Alyssa Thomas. 26, 24, 15 against Minnesota, but that was in a blowout loss. Now we have a game where Phoenix, they're the favorites. Low total expected, though. Yeah, Satu points, that could interest me. Her assists definitely don't. Rebounding could interest me too because of Valkyrie don't have the greatest offense either. Haven't necessarily allowed a lot of rebounds to her position though. So I need to dive a little bit deeper to see who are they giving up rebounds to. But yeah, Sar 2 points, Sar 2 rebounds. Those things don't look like such a bad look. Oh, look at this. It's Laksa. So Laksa has had a couple of good games. But prior to today, I've never noticed her lines before. So that's a really interesting look. She's predominantly a spot-up shooter for this Mercury team. 3 games since Alyssa Thomas has been out. 2 points in the first one, 15 against the Spark, then another 10 points against Minnesota. Up against the Valkyrie, who do allow the second most points above the break. Her threes line is at 1.5, heavily juiced to the over, so probably best to look at the points. You're looking at 10 points as a line here. Yeah, she's going to see the minutes. It does make a bit of sense, I guess. Laksa, her points could be 1. Sammy Whitcomb, I've got no interest in betting on her, unless we bet on an under, right? But Sammy Whitcomb, she relies on spot-up shooting and scoring in transition, and she's got a great matchup today against the Valkyrie. So that would be my hesitation. We got Monika Cole-McCarney. Now, her line's at 8.5, which is relatively low compared to what it has been in the past. She's also a spot-up shooter who scores in transition. Pretty decent matchup here against the Valkyrie. She only saw 13 minutes in the last game against Minnesota. So probably question marks as to why. So if her minutes are going to be low, then I don't want to take the over, that's for sure. So I need to dive a little bit deeper into that. So for the Mercury, nothing's screaming out to me too much. And then for the Valkyrie, Kayla Thornton, 11.5 points. You know, she's been getting a lot of volume up as of late, but a lot of it's been without Tiffany Hayes. If Hayes is back, that she probably doesn't. Very capable rebounder here against the Mercury, who do allow the 3rd most rebounds. So Kayla Thornton rebounds could be a look, 5.5. Not loving it too much, even though she's hit it in 4 straight. Threes, no thank you. Let's have a look at this. So the Mercury defense, this is how their Mercury defense is. They give up threes in the corner, they give up points in the paint and in the mid-range, but they allow the fewest points above the break. I wonder if that's still the same without Alyssa Thomas, but okay. Just thinking about that, we've got Veronica Burden. Veronica Burden scores 50% of her points above the break. She actually doesn't score many points where this team is weak. So 10.5 points. She has been seeing a lot of volume, though. About 11 shots for an 11-point line. Extremely efficient in her last game against Minnesota. Can't guarantee that happens again. Assists at 3.5. Rebounds at 3.5. Could we look at rebounds plus assists? She's over this in 3 straight games. 8 here. So in that last game against Minnesota, they were almost at full strength, this Valkyrie team. They've only got lines for 3 players from this Valkyrie team. And Temi Fag-Benley, you can only bet on her points. So yeah, I'm not necessarily loving this. If I was going to bet on Temi, it might be around the boards, but yeah. So probably not too much value in this game right now. I think there could be something around Sar2. I think something around Veronica Burton as well. I'd have to take a deeper dive once we know who's playing, because Tiffany Hayes being a game time decision is pretty impactful. But they've got some other starters who don't have any lines available. So yeah, very interesting. But hey, look, I'm glad that I'm making content again, because not making content for so long, man, I'm starting to feel lonely out here. But look, that's all I've got for you for today. Hopefully there was some value in this video. This is an early look at the lines. Obviously, this game isn't for another day. Probably looking at another 36 hours or shit. I can't count. I shouldn't have done the 24-hour time. But getting this video out to you guys probably 12 hours earlier than I normally would. I obviously need to do a deeper dive into the slate to see what I come up with. The problem is by the time I do that deeper dive, I'm probably not going to have time to make content. So if you did appreciate the video, let me know down below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.